Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to join another of our live chats to support the Wear Canada Proud sale partnership with Fashion Magazine and CAFA. And I am, oh my goodness, it's happening so fast. I'm getting ready to add in the wonderful Chomistek all the way from Calgary, Alberta. And there she is. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today.
It is absolutely my pleasure. How are things in Calgary?
Oh, really wonderful. I mean, all things considering, but the weather's been actually pretty nice. So we've been really lucky.
Awesome. I'd like to start these conversations by asking everyone the same question. Why do we need a thriving fashion industry here in Canada?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is like fashion is such an important pillar of our culture, and I think if we lose that, we're going to be really I don't know, just losing a big part of ourselves. Like depending like on the construction and the fabrics, like it's been a huge part of our history since our country's inception. And I think it's just such an important thing for people to really consider that fashion as well. It's an extension of who we are as Canadians and extension of who we are as creatives.
Kara, you get to work with a lot of designers and creatives, particularly with your socially conscious organization. I know you do with Park Online.
Yes.
You do a lot of mentoring, helping fashion designers develop their business. What is your experience with working with the designers in terms of what it means to have the exposure of something like the Wear Canada Proud sale? What does it mean for designers?
I think that it's such an important awareness piece, and especially across the country. I think individually in our own sectors, everybody knows who our local designers are. I think everybody knows in Alberta who the go-tos are, in Toronto who the go-tos are. But I think it's really important for us as a country to start realizing that we really need to work together across the entire country and not just focus on our own localized areas, and really kind of reach out and discover something new that maybe you didn't know before. I think sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
I think as well, like there's so often like times when we're looking at, shopping online, we're supporting, large American retailers or brands from across the world. But I think a lot of people don't realize that there's so much here at home to support. And there's so many different people from across the country that you can put dollars to versus, exporting our cash.
Tell me a little bit about the go-to designers in Calgary and in Alberta. I have not had the pleasure of coming out to Calgary, so I don't know the shopping scene. And I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, so please don't get offended if Kara doesn't mention you. But can you give us across the country a little bit of a sense of what the Calgary scene is like?
Absolutely. And I thought it would be kind of nice to report live today from one of my favorite local shops. So I'm at the livery shop today.
Oh, so cool.
So you can kind of see some of their jewelry, and so there's two brands that form the livery shop. So Camp Brand Goods and Kudu Kitsch. I'm wearing all the Kudu Kitsch jewelry. You can kind of see. So there's some of our favorite local brands. We've been working with them since 2008, our inception of our organization, and they've blown up. I mean, they're in stockists all over North America, and they've just really kind of set the path for what Canadian designers and Calgarian designers can do and how to have a sustainable business. They really saw a lot of success when they opened their own brick and mortar, which was really great to see. But I mean, in terms of Alberta, there's so many ranges of talent. Like we have the luxury sector, so we have Paul Hardy and Noni. Spencer Badu spent a large amount of time in Calgary. He was actually an intern at Park for 5 years before moving back to Toronto.
Oh, amazing.
So we've had a huge range.
We'll share him with you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We love Spencer. Park family forever. We always joke. We're like, he's our little baby. And everybody's like, he's a man. Like, what are you talking about?
When you said something really interesting that I want to unpack a little bit more. You talk a lot about a sustainable business.
Yes.
And how do you define that for designers? Because I think sometimes it's really easy to think sustainable business means you are a juggernaut in the industry, like you become the next, Lululemon or Canada Goose. But how do you help designers define what a sustainable business is for them?
Absolutely. Like when we're working with designers, we are always, like, I think a huge part of our industry is unregulated. So it's a little bit tricky. Like I think we were talking about, my background's mechanical engineering, so totally not from this fashion universe initially. But one of the things that we found is a lot of times people are just injecting so much cash initially into their business without a proof of concept, without discovering who their target market and their clients are. And one of the things that we really try to encourage is, what are your margins? Who are your customer? What is the business model that you're going to look at? Because there's so many different ways that you could approach being a Canadian designer. And a lot of times, like I always say, like if you're not making money, you just have an expensive hobby and you're just burning through that cash flow really, really quickly. So one of the things that we like to work with is, like in Alberta here, we have a huge market circuit. We have designers that make over $1 million a year just doing the markets. So direct to consumer, I think right now is kind of the way to the future, which is why I was so excited to, be a part of this event, because I really feel like the margins that they're making when they're selling direct to consumers allow them to be a little bit more flexible about where they manufacture, that allows them to be able to manufacture in Canada and manufacture at home. It allows them to use high quality fabrics and materials and sustainable fabrics. I know that's a huge thing in terms of environmental issues. So all of those things I think are really important when people are considering what they're doing for their business.
What I love about a lot of the work you do is you obviously focus a lot on local designers, but you also have the privilege of working with designers from all around the country with a lot of the showcases and events that you have done. What's it like when you see like the designers come together from across the country? You've been privileged to see them in person together. What's the energy like when they get together?
I think it's pretty incredible. Like, I don't think a lot of people, obviously see Western Canada as a fashion epicenter, and obviously we have a much smaller population, so it's a lot different. But I think when designers, come across the country and come visit us here, I think they're really surprised at how much support that Alberta gives to designers across the country. And I think what's really cool is a lot of designers, because they don't have, as big of a population or as big a support, they've had to get really creative with how they're making their money, how they're, reaching those target audiences, and whether it's an export business, are their customers across the world, or do they just have, a group of support within the city limits, and just have, a group of ladies that loves to support what they do. Everybody's a little bit different in how they run their companies.
One of the things that I think is really wonderful about this Wear Canada Proud event, this 2-day initiative at wearcanadaproud.com, is it's not a e-commerce platform, it's a discovery platform. So when someone wants to shop from Paul Hardy or Untitled or Brunette the Label or any of the over 150 brands that are there, they go directly to that designer's e-commerce platform. So all of the sales are going to the designer. How important is it for designers to have an e-commerce platform right now? Like, I know that might seem like stating the obvious, like who doesn't right now, but when you're mentoring, how do you explain the importance of that platform to people?
I think, it's kind of a complex consideration, but I think the biggest thing is if people can't find you online, it's really hard to kind of prove your existence and to prove, your branding and your legitimacy as a designer. So I think having that online platform, first of all, legitimizes your business and provides an opportunity for people, if they're not where you are and if they can't go to your studio, to discover and order and support what you're doing. But I think one thing with e-commerce that definitely is tricky is you're competing now against the entire world. And I think designers, when they're immediately put out their website, they're like, okay, this is going to be a hit success. And that's not necessarily the case. So what we really encourage is, doing e-commerce events in addition to trunk shows, in addition to markets, in addition to fashion events, in addition to, buy off the runway type events, because the collection of all of that and that all together, that's what's going to make your business successful. It's not going to be any one platform. And I mean, there's always exceptions. There's always people that, that do have very, very successful online businesses. But a lot of designers that we've worked with, have gone back to brick and mortar. I think like Poppy Barley is a great example. They started off just being online, and they decided, by having pop-ups and by having brick and mortar locations, that really drives a lot of sales online too. So I think it's important to have both and to focus on both. But if you don't have an online platform, I think you're going to be left behind in this day and age.
Can you share a little bit about how do Calgarians support local designers? Is there a thirst and a lust for local talent in Alberta?
Absolutely. And I think more so, not more so than everywhere in Canada, but I think what's special about Alberta is there is a large amount of disposable income, and people are choosing to spend their disposable income on local products. That's something that's just kind of ingrained in our bootstrapping culture, I guess you could call it, and the cowboy entrepreneur. Like everybody has a lot of people have started their own businesses, whether it's on their own oil and gas company or their own fitness studio. Like entrepreneurship is just deeply embedded in our city. And as entrepreneurs, we need to support other entrepreneurs, or else we understand that these businesses won't stick around. So definitely it's a place where there's a lot of support. And we have found designers, like we work a lot with Untitled. They come and do a big fashion event here every year. And they do very well at our shows and our events because people, they're just so passionate about seeing designers from across the country and different aesthetics and designs. So that's pretty cool to see.
You also have Park Production House, so you do a lot of styling and production work. What's it like when you reveal to a client or someone you're working with or styling that something they're wearing is Canadian? Are they surprised?
They are surprised. And I think what's really cool about our job is we're able to inject a lot of those details. Like we did a big campaign with Travel Alberta a couple years ago, and we featured a local brand called Indie City. So she does these beautiful Indigenous beading in terms of earrings and necklaces. And so things like that, just being able to add a little bit of touch and a little bit of flavor that is local, I think it's so important and it's so feasible. Like, again, with Kuta Kitsch, we pull from them all the time for jewelry, for shoots. And I think it's, that's something as a stylist that's so easy to do. Like it's local. You don't have to wait until things are shipped, especially right now. I know we were talking to a lot of stylists from across the country, and pulls are going to be harder and harder. So the more that we can do to support local businesses, I think everybody would appreciate that extra help.
Cara, for people who are watching and they want to know, where they can follow you and how they might be able to glean some of this amazing mentorship that you do for designers, where can people find you and your various Park Empire organizations?
Absolutely. So they can follow us on Instagram at Our Park Online or ourparkonline.com. My contact information is on the website. People are always free to reach out to us. We have a huge network across the country of everything from manufacturing to business tips, and can put them in touch with other designers that maybe have been in their shoes. We're all about building up this business and really helping these designers get to the next level.
And so many of the designers that you've just mentioned, Indie City, Poppy Barley, Paul Hardy, they're all on the Wear Canada Proud sale event. So the whole country can discover some of your local favorites.
Absolutely.
The website is wearcanadaproud.com. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Cara. George Sully is coming up next. No, it's Angela from Atlantic Fashion Week, is coming up next. And there's also lots of other live chats happening on the Fashion Canada handle, and on the website you can also see the full schedule of these chats as well. So lots more great conversations to have. Cara, thank you so much for being part of this event and supporting Canadian fashion.
Thank you so much. Good shopping, everybody.
Happy shopping and browsing, everyone. Bye.
Absolutely. Goodbye. See you.